Happy homecoming Monday morning. 3 things I want to accomplish today. 1, I want to give you some work time after the lesson. Lesson is obviously number 1, but then I want to give you some work time to work on some homework problems, correct some old homework problems, and work on your quiz corrections for tomorrow. Okay, so there's going to be a couple of pauses in here where you go through and you are working on some stuff either individually or with your group. Okay, so this warm-up is not in your textbook right now, but you can do this at the top of page 82. And so what I would like you to do here, and I'm going to give you 4 minutes to do this problem. I want you to read it, and then I want you to come up with an explicit equation and how much money is in the account after 18 years type of problem. 4 minutes, go, pause the video now. So your explicit equation that you should have come up with is f of n is equal to 12,000 times 1.09 to the n minus 1 power. We are dealing with 9% of interest, so 9% in terms of a decimal is 0.09. That interest in the bank is working for you, so it's adding to your account, so that's why it's above 1, not below 1. Then down here, what you would want to do is you would want to find what's happening in the 18th year. So that's going to be 12,000 times 1.09 to the 18 minus 1 power. And what you're going to do then is you're going to type that into a calculator. So you're going to go 12,000. Oops, maybe not. 12,000 times 1.09, and you're going to raise that. That's this caret key over here on the side of most calculators. And then you're going to, not 9. Correction, I wanted to go, I'm typing it in on my laptop. 18 minus 1. You could also have just done 18 minus 1 in your head and gotten 17 there. But then that's going to be what you get here. So you get here for value, you get 51,931.60092. But since we're talking about money here with this particular one, then we're going to round that to the nearest cent. So we're going to say that this is $51,931.60. And those are your 2 answers for the 2 warm-up problems. Okay? So today what we're going to be talking about is we're going to be doing what we kind of did on Thursday with arithmetic sequences. We're going to be talking about geometric sequences now where we're not given consecutive terms. Okay? So how we go about doing this is we're going to take our first number, that's going to start our equation, 3. Then what we're going to do is we're going to count the number of jumps. So here was 1 jump, here was the 2nd jump. So that's going to be, each jump is going to be when we multiply by r. And that then is going to equal the term where we're at, or the last term that we have. Mathematically wise, we can make this look nice and pretty. We can say that this is 3r squared equals 12. And then that's going to allow us to divide both sides by 3, canceling out there. 12 divided by 3 is 4, so then that gives us r squared is equal to 4. And now what we're going to do is we're going to do something called square rooting, or we're going to be taking the root. So we're going to take the square root of both sides. The square root here cancels out the squared there, and it leaves me just with r. And the square root of 4, if I go to my calculator, the square root of 4 is, second, we're looking for this one, the square root of 4 is 2. So the answer here is 2. So if I multiply by 2, let me get rid of all this stuff now. If I multiply both sides by 2, or if I multiply here by 2, I would get 6. If I multiply by 2 again, I get 12, and it works out. Now, the downfall with that is this is not the only way that we can get that. We multiplied by 2, but what about negative 2? Because if I multiply here by negative 2, then I get negative 6. If I multiply here by negative 2, I get positive 12. And that works out too. And the kicker here is going to be if you have an even root or an even power is going to be the key. You need to add in a symbol called the plus or minus symbol. And it's going to go right there in front of that R value that you get there. And that's only if you have an even power. If you have an odd power, it doesn't need to be there. So let's try one, like sequence number 2 here. So I'm going to start with my starting number, that's 7. I'm going to count my jumps. 1 jump, 2 jump, 3 jumps. So that's going to be R cubed. That is an odd power, so I don't have to worry about pluses and minuses here, and that's going to equal 875. Now when I divide both sides by 7, because I want to get rid of that, divide both sides by 7, I get R cubed equals 125, and now I'm going to take the third root of 125. The third root of 125 on my calculator, how I go about doing that is I'm first going to type in 3. Oops, here, let me clear everything off so that we get fresh stuff. I'm going to type in 3, and then I'm going to go with the inverse, the second of the exponent key. And that's going to give me a third root there of 125, and that's going to be 5. So it's the inverse of the exponent key, and that's going to give me R here is 5. So I'm going to multiply both sides, or multiply always by 5. 7 times 5 is 35. 35 times 5 is 175. 175 times 5 is 875. And this is the only answers because we have an odd power or an odd number of jumps or an odd root. We're odd there. What I would like you to do now is I'm going to give you 5 minutes. We're going to pause the video for 5 minutes, and then you're going to do sequences 3 and 4. So pause the video now. Now that we're back here, so we should have gotten 6 times R to the 1 jump, 2 jump, 3 jump, 4 jumps. So that's R to the 4th power equals 96. I'm going to divide both sides then by 6. That cancels that out there. Dividing by 6 there gives me R to the 4th equals 16. Then I'm taking an even root here. I'm taking the 4th root. So the first thing that I should do is I should write down that plus or minus right there. This is going to be R. The 4th root of 16 is 2. So we have 2 different answers here. So I'll break up these into They're different ones. So first I'm going to multiply here by positive 2. Down here I'll multiply by negative 2. So if I multiply through by positive 2, I get 12, 24, and I put like 48. On the bottom, if I multiply by negative 2, I would get negative 2, negative 12, positive 24, and negative 48. And those would be the only answers there for that. In sequence number 4, first value is 4. Jumps 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So that's going to be r to the 5th equals 972. Divide both sides by 4. Gives me r to the 5th equals 243. And then I would take the 5th root of that. And the 5th root of that is going to be 3. So I would get r here equals 3. So filling in my chart, 4 times 3 is 12. 12 times 3 is 36. 36 times 3 is 108. 108 times 3 is 324. And 324 times 3 is 972. Describing our method that we use to find our terms here. So it's the last number divided by the first number, and then we take the root of the number of jumps of that number that we found. Last number divided by first number, and then roots of the number of jumps. How can we tell if there are more than one solution? We're looking at that power, the even exponent there. Even exponent, even power, that works out for us there. Okay? What I would like you to do now is I would like you to start working on the homework for tomorrow that will be due. I'm going to show the answers to the homework that was due today. What I would like the sub to do is I would like the sub to pause the video at each one so that you can check your answers. So on this one, I'm going to explain the first one here first. So in this first one, the Venn diagram, they just wanted to know over in this area what was solely arithmetic. In here, what was both, shows up in both, and over here, what was just geometric is what they wanted on that one. So that was just words there to fill in. On 2 and 3, what they wanted to do, they wanted you to connect that to the charts or the grid, if you will, that was on the previous page. So they wanted, there were 6 scenarios, 2 graphs and a chart and 3 equations. They wanted you to connect the situation in number 2 with those 6 ones, which one matches up. And the same with the different scenario for number 3. So there's that. Here are the answers to 4, 5, and 6, and 7. Pause here so that you can check those out. Here are the answers for 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Pause here to check those out. Rest of the time then you can be using to work on homework and test corrections. Please be working, not be wasting this time.